Hello, my friends, and welcome again to this episode of Common Sense View. Today, I'm bringing you two important news: one local from Sweden, and the other one from United States of America. The first news from the U.S. You see what is going on. Yesterday, or the past days, the deal between Iran and the U.S. have fallen through. It couldn't work. I didn't expect it to work in one shot anyway. But what I don't know if there is any possibility of a turnaround at all, the way the voices have been going back and forth. Of course, there will always be a back channel to all these top officials in the government to make more discussions that are not open to the public. But what we are seeing in the public doesn't show that such is the case. The case in is it Islamabad was that it didn't go as the plan, according to Trump. They agreed on practically everything the US proposed, except getting a nuclear weapon and then the issue with the Strait of Hormuz. And those are the no, getting their uranium, the already refined uranium. Now, the problem with this is that, in as much as these are right moves in themselves, I still have that moral question of does any country have the audacity, have the moral right to compel any other country on how to live or what to do or what to acquire. Yeah, of course, considering that we live in a world whereby whatever a country does affects the other country, that could be a possibility. But the problem that the extent to which the stronger country can go against the weaker country is not yet defined. And that is the issue in Gaza, Israel. That is the issue in Ukraine, Russia. And that is the issue now in US, Iran. In these three wars, I can say, okay, Israel and Hamas, due to the amount of pre-war killing, I might be swinging in one way. But then post-war, post October 7 killing, my view shifted. It's not what I'm here to talk about. But apart from that, Russia and Ukraine, there's no way to approach it. Yeah, one country attacks, the other one is suffering. One country is stronger, the other one is weaker. It's the same thing with Iran and the US. One country is stronger, the other one is weaker. Irrespective of any other thing that goes on there, these are really important to look at. So based on that, I divert. The issue that is at stake now is the position of Trump. He posted a Truth Social post. I think also it's also in X. So let's see what he posted. Really damning stuff. He said, according to this silence, Trump highlights oil tanker surge to U.S. Gulf, U.S. Gulf Coast amid global crisis. He said, U.S. Gulf crude exports are set for a record 4.9 million barrels per day in April, up 23 from March, as buyers turn to American oil due to Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz since late February. Trump touted the rush of empty tankers heading to load benzene crude, joking about his Gulf of America rename during a Fox News interview. While producers gain from high demand and returning margins, critics note rising U.S. gas prices around 4.15 per gallon, with Trump acknowledging they might stay high or rise further before midterm. Now, Trump was indicated, they said, suddenly oil and gas tankers want to rush to the US to fill up on energy. Look at the Gulf of America. It's almost like 47 had a plan this entire time, and this fire emoji. Both are selling up, heading to our country, build beautiful tankers. We are loading them up with oil, gas, and everything else. It's pretty beautiful. It's pretty beautiful thing to see. Look at all the red map is the map of the heat map of the consignments moving to load in the United States. But nobody talking about the implication of this. The implication of this is huge. It's huge because the real question I think everyone should be asking is, is this temporary or something that ends very soon? Is this temporary? Because if this is permanent or close to it, then the entire oil, OPEC, and all the endeavors are completely shattered. If tanker operators, shipping companies, and energy buyers start buying long-term contracts and infrastructure around US supply, and no more Middle East, it's a complete change in the entire dynamics and a complete reinforcement of the dying euro dollar. That's a game that was played. Everyone calls him a buffon. What is he a buffon? The petrodollar gets a second life suddenly. And then it becomes also a problem for the company that build the countries that build their company around the Gulf oil. So isn't this a masterclass? Everyone is talking about Iran war. Is this really a war for uranium or for this particular purpose? Is this really war to get Iran not to acquire a nuclear weapon or to rearm the dying American dollar? That is an aspect of this that people are ignoring. In a way, it's like killing two birds with one stone. Even now, three or multiple of them. China is the strongest geopolitical opponent of US. Who buys more from Iran? Who buys more oil from Iran? Let me check. China, Japan, most European countries. These are the people that buy oil from Iran. And the thing is that US crude oil is not suddenly turned at the premium of the global benchmark. Like setting around 96.57 a barrel, above Brent at 95.20. America isn't just a backup supplier anymore. It's becoming the world primary energy hub. Isn't that impressive? Isn't that the trick that was played on everyone? Before the war, roughly 1/5 of the world trade oil moved through the Strait of Hormuz, with more than 100 ships passing through daily. Many bound for Asia market. That flow had all been diverted to US. So now, looking at it, where do Japan, South Korea, Germany, France, all the countries that depend on the Middle Eastern crude oil, where do they turn to? The answer is they're returning to the United States. In as much as they want to play bravado about this, everyone has been played. Whether it's intentional or not is immaterial. So what will anyone do? The world has to find a way to resolve this. One country, and look at the game plan. First of all, capture the oil of Venezuela, who are the highest producers of oil, and then merge it with the US oil. So US is controlling both. And also they're trying to control the Strait of Hormuz by taking 50 cents of all the payment made there. So every petrol movement will now go through United States. That is the question I ask. This is not about Trump, because tomorrow Trump will go, but the policy might stay. That's why I ask, is it okay for a strong country to muzzle down a weak country? And who defines what can be done and to what extent? Now, let's move on. Something has been happening in the Swedish environment. Something really interesting. Really interesting in the sense that a lot of people who should know don't know that it's going on. This very Democrat that won the Swedish election have done a really lot of good to stabilize the immigration of the country. But some things are, in a way, a little bit overcorrecting. And you can understand the immigration was left to reach a boiling proportion, draw completely out of control before they brought in their own system. And I know people criticize them, the SD, based on that they are racist or not. I really don't see them as racist. I know I'll be criticized for that too. There may be racist in it, just that there'll be racist in every party. But my point is that because people are looking at the race aspect of the party, they're ignoring other things that should warrant public discourse. Things like some of the laws made. The law that gave people $35,000 to go home if they want to go home looks reasonable, so that those who want to go will have something to do at home. The one that said extreme gang members should go home, it's especially if you're not a citizen, it makes sense. But the one that says that your citizenship will be revoked and you will go, even though it makes sense if you look at the argument around it, it also brings questions. The questions like, are violent citizens not citizen enough? That is the problem with moral problem with that. When you say that citizens who commit violence will have their citizenship revoked and deported to the country of their origin, the moral question is there. That means it has created a parallel of citizenship. The citizenship of the race citizens and the citizenship of the non-race citizens. So that's my own argument about that. But to support my position, I think what would have been more reasonable, not trying to jump to push against the law, it would have been more sensible to say, because people don't just become gang members in a night. It takes time. When you see the threat of that in a person, you extend the time the person would have got citizenship. And that makes sense then. That means if the threat doesn't go, then the person will stand a chance of being deported or not getting citizenship until his behavior is ascertained to be good for the society. And I'm not among those who think that because you fled into a country, you have every right the country has. No, you are still a foreigner given a right of the people who own the land. But there are international laws. Now, the most current law is what I want us to look at. This law says that, here's the law. So Sweden proposes a bill requiring migrants to live honestly or face deportation. Live honestly. So that is the problem. It's moral discussion that will affect your stay in a country. So that is living honestly is really a good thing because it affects everything in the country. But the issue is, how do you define this honest living? And here are the definitions they give it. It affects everyone. I said, Sweden government is proposing a new law that could lead to deportation for migrants failing to meet an honest living standard, including issues like unpaid debts or benefits fraud. This measure, part of broader immigration reform, aims to link residency to responsible conduct. Concerns have been raised by rights groups regarding potential impact on legal equality and freedom of expression. Now, the problem with this can be migrants. It's easy to determine, or Of course, they will have a definition of what they mean by honest living, which includes debt payment, reasonable. Can let that pass. But the concern of those who are criticizing it are not really what I think considered the major concern. What is the major concern here is that law should be applied equally. Law should be applied equally. Of course, if you are an immigrant in a country, you have to behave according to the law of the land. Now, if you don't behave according to the law of the land, then you should be asked to go, which is the right thing. But this law is specifically for immigrants, not for the country, which makes it a problem. I guess before the law passes, before the bill passes, they will find a better way of framing it so that it wouldn't be that there are two types of justice. The justice system that applies to immigrants and the justice system that applies to citizens or residents. Citizens now, because now immigrants generally, residents are inclusive. Now, the point that Sweden government has proposed a new law that will require migrants to follow an honest living standard with failure to comply potentially leading to deportation as part of a wider immigration reform ahead of election in September. As reported by AFP, the proposal will also make it easier to withdraw residence permits and could take effect from July 13 if approved by Parliament. Government links residency to conduct. The right-wing government are usually like this right-wing, left-wing. Oftentimes, when the right wing is used with this negative connotation. I don't think it makes sense. So the government, it makes sense more because whether we like it or not, the present government is in power, and the law of the land mostly are dictated by them. The right-wing government, which came to power in 2022 with a focus on stricter immigration policies, said the measure aims to ensure migrants follow rules and act responsibly. Migrants, everyone in a country should follow rules and act responsibly. That is the only issue I have with this. Everyone in a country should follow rules and act responsibly. It's not supposed to be uniquely migrant. Following laws and rules is a given, but it must also be a given that we do our best to live responsibly and not harm our country. Yes, that is the point. Migrant Minister Johan Fosse said, as quoted, but because he has already made it migrant-centric, this statement is more or less, it doesn't follow. If, for example, you're not paying your debt, if you don't comply with decisions from Swedish authorities, if you cheat the benefit system, if you cheat your way to a Swedish residence permit, then you do not have the right to be here. There has to be punishment for everyone who breaks all of this, not just one set of people. But I understand it has to start from somewhere. There will be amendments, it has to be debated. The likelihood that it will pass is most likely to happen. But if it is fine-tuned, it will be for the betterment of the country. If it is not fine-tuned, it will not go well at all. The government said other violations could include working without paying taxes or failing to pay fines. It also proposed broader powers to revoke residence permit in case where migrants are seen as a threat or found to have provided false information in applications. It could be understood. You should not lie to the government. Concerns raised over legal clarity. Ludwig Aspling, migration policy spokesman for the Sweden Democrats, said statements made by individuals will not alone be grounds for actions, but could indicate other concerns. Now, people's intention for what they say is being put to question. Sometimes it might go well, sometimes it might not, because it's only the person talking that has the pure understanding of why he is talking. You cannot just presume. So this is a little bit Orwellian, but as I said, the law is still in a proposal. It could pass, but before it passed, there will always be amendments. So let us see how it turns out. Statement that is things, that is, things a person says or expresses should not in themselves be regarded as evidence of lack of honest living, but they may be an indication of, for example, linked to violent extremism, which can then be a sign to deficient character. So that is an issue, and it's difficult to having problem.
Hallå?
Hello?
Hej Michael, det var Joel här, familjeteamet.
Okay.
Ringer jag och stör dig?
Yeah. That's okay. I was class. Okay. Sorry, that was a very important call from the school, and when the school calls here, you have to take the call. That's the way it is. So that's the call. I'm sorry for that. I didn't have much options. So I can understand all the arguments regarding this proposal. So these are also NDTV word. Sweden proposed bill requiring migrants to live honestly or face deportation. So my problem is that I have not seen the bill itself. I've not read the bill to see the things that are the issues that are raised there. And sometimes you can take things before you know the overall presentation, and then you are jumping the gun. But it would be nice to see the bill in its totality to see what is missing, what should have made it a better bill, and what actually should make it something we want to, everyone should be happy about. Of course, a country has to protect itself, its existence, and Sweden has the right to do that too. Immigration is always an issue, especially when migrants create their own lifestyle in a country of their domicile. So, but still, migrants are human beings with rights that are not less than the rights of the domicile country, because they are bound to live according to the laws of the land that is their host. So it should be an issue if there is a parallel system of justice for people who are migrants as against those who are citizens. If you are a migrant, you still have a chance of being a citizen. So the law should be applied equally, but whether you are a born citizen or a domiciled citizen. So when there are two laws in one country, one for born citizens and one for domiciled citizens, then that's a fundamental question of morality. It is not the right way to go. But I keep my criticism of the law because I have not read it, the bill, because I have not read it. And even if I read it, all I can do is complain on the internet. I don't think the intention is bad. I have no grounds to believe that the intention is bad. I don't think so. That is my position. So thank you very much. Let me know what you think about the new law proposed by the Swedish Parliament. Let me just your opposition or your support of it. It doesn't matter if you're Swede or you are a foreigner. Just let me know what you think. Is it the right way to go? Or just as it is, what amendment could you propose? If you have the opportunity to propose an amendment to that law, what will you say would make it a better law or a non sequitur? And then for the US, Trump gloating over all tankers being rerouted to US. Let me also know your position, whether a country can have such a power over another, not just now, but in future. And to what extent can that be? Okay, thank you very much. And until we meet again, be free and in your own terms. Ciao.